Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to episode 176. Today, we're going to dive into the subject about learning to let go of things that really don't matter. So if you're ready, let's get started.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Doreen, how are you?
I'm great.
Looking very nice as always.
And you as well.
All right.
Over there in your, I don't know what color that is, if it's kind of purplish.
I think it's very purple, very purplish.
Very purplish.
Well, thank you. Okay.
That's good. Anyhow, so we just, we had a really nice time in Charleston in December. I know that when this podcast airs, it's going to be the end of January, but we had a nice trip and we drove up there and we listened to a book, one of the books we listened to, and it's Mark Mason's incredible book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a
F.
Yes. And I'm probably going to sneeze, so I apologize to the listeners because I have a little cold thing going on.
Coming down with something.
I felt it coming on and it just went away. But anyhow, back to the book. I don't know. It was really, I love these, self-help books, but I loved the perspective of what he came in from, because I think a lot of what he teaches is what we teach, which is your thoughts, create your feelings, actions, results.
Right.
I mean, that's really what he's telling you. It's taught in so many different ways and formats, but from what I got from it, and I always think a great book is something I personally, for me, can get that I live.
Right.
That I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that now, and going to try to live with that.
Yeah, that one golden nugget that you can get out of a book. That's a great thing.
That just sticks with you. And for me in this book, it was about that we have limited time to really give an F about all the things we want to give the F's about.
Right. And I think that we use the word F in this context as something that's in your face. And I think that when he throws it in your face like that, it kind of like you can resonate it with you a little bit more. In other words, if you're just talking about a subject, it'll get into your mind or not. But when somebody is shocked, wow, give a F, and they're shocking, I think they tend to listen to it more. Pay attention to it more.
I think that's true, but kind of gets you, it gets your attention is what you're saying.
Right.
And so that's what for me, it was about that, about you don't have enough time. And also about what do you want to, and with that being the case, what do you want to spend your time on? What do why do you want to spend your energy on being upset, for example, and giving an F about that you have to wait? I don't know, this just happened to me. I have to wait in a waiting room for basically an hour to see a doctor. Like, this just happened to me. So I'm thinking actually it was 2.5 hours, to be honest, but I did leave and then I came back and anyhow, so let's just say it was an hour wait. Why would I get upset about that? Like get such a upset, right?
Yeah.
And the energy that one spends on something like that is just mind blowing, because that's what I think it, for me, was teaching me.
Right.
Is, just really think about what you spend your time on.
Right. Well, I think that let's first talk about what he means, what not giving an F really means, because we're not saying it means to be careless or not be indifferent about something. I think it means to be a little bit more intentional on what you do care about.
Right.
To be a little bit more intentional on what you want to focus your energy on.
You mean the title of his book?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. Yeah, I think that you're right. He talks about that. It's not about not being like disrespectful or mean-spirited or flip about things.
Well, I think in the context of divorce, we talk about, not always trying to win an argument, not trying to focus on agonizing over the past or win this, get everything that you want. It's more focusing on the energy that really matters.
Right. Well, that's what it's about. But I think what we're trying to hopefully convey is you have to really think about what do you want to give an F about.
Right.
And we're talking about in your divorce, for example, right?
Right.
The things, agonizing over the past, isn't going to get you anything into the future. Spending your time being in the woe is me, the victim mentality, I can't believe this happened, like all the things, rehashing all that isn't a good use of your time.
Right. Well, I
Don't
think
get-
it's not just what you want to focus on, but it's what you want to focus on that serves you.
Right. True. But let's talk about how you get there. What is it about, what we just said, which is agonizing over the past and being upset about being the victim mentality? What, you can have that mentality because you give a F about something else. It's deeper. And
Right.
what this book is teaching, and what I think we're trying to teach from it, is that you got to dig deep to know where you're going to want to spend your F's on.
Right.
You only have a certain amount of things to give an F about.
Right.
So, do you want to spend it on agonizing over the past?
Yeah.
Or do you want to spend it on he's got a new girlfriend? Or do you want to spend it on this isn't fair? Or I should get more money when your lawyer tells you no, this is it. That's what I think is the biggest takeaway for our clients is,
Yeah.
look.
I think Mark ties it in with what are your values?
Right.
What is really, truly tied into your values, what is going to not just serve you in the future, because more money could serve you, but I think it's serving your values of wasted energy and time consumption.
Right. Like here's an example that we wrote down in preparation here. Instead of giving an F about what your ex-family thinks about you, you could focus on what kind of co-parent you want to be to your kids. Instead of worrying about how your social circle might shift, you can invest in the friendships that genuinely support and uplift you. See what we're talking about?
Yeah.
So we came up with a few examples. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm sniffling. You can grab a piece of paper, maybe.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
And write down some notes for yourselves. And maybe you suggested 2 columns, right?
2 columns.
What do you want?
On one column, stuff that I care about too much.
Right.
And then on the other column, stuff that actually matters. Okay. And then take a few minutes to reflect on it.
Okay.
It's actionable help. And it really, once you start focusing on things that matter, you start realizing what are some of the actions that you're wasting your time on and agonizing over that you don't really have to.
Like waiting in the doctor's office.
Just like that.
Yeah. No, seriously, like the little things that just don't move your life in a positive direction. I think it would be interesting. Yeah, I haven't done this exercise. I know that you did it because you came up with it.
Right.
How did it work out for you?
It's really an eye-opening experience when you see how much time and energy you waste on the small things.
Yeah.
Remember that book,
Yeah.
Don't Sweat the Small Stuff?
Yeah.
It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
Because I really like that book as
That's
well.
a great book too.
And it's very, very similar to that, how much stuff we sweat that really doesn't matter.
I know. I think that my list, depending on if I've got my coaching mentality on, where your thoughts are really controlling your results. But there are periods, we're human, where even as a coach, I tend to let my,
Yeah, now especially during divorce.
Right. And these people going through divorce,
going through divorce really have a little bit more of that. It's harder for them because
it's harder for them. I mean, no, that would be a thought, and we wouldn't want them to create that world for themselves, that result. So we don't want to think that. So we have to change that thought to something like it could be maybe more challenging for someone going through divorce.
Or maybe they have to do more thought work
to compensate
what they're going through. Yes. There's a lot of ways we can change the way we say it.
Because what, we talked about this in our last episode and this one as well. The power really of having a more rewarding life. And I'm not going to say I want to premise that by saying that life is 50-50. It's not going to always be rainbows and fairies and all this stuff. Things happen. People die. They get laid off from work. Politics, whatever you want, people get divorced, whatever it is, things happen. You can't control the world, but you can control your thoughts. that are going to create your results. And that's where all the power comes in.
That's the only control you have is your thoughts.
So as you move into creating your new life, your goal setting for the new year, all the things, that thought work is key. Now, can you get lucky and can you prevail without it? Yeah, but you can do it a lot easier because remember, it's about the journey as well, right? So if you can get the thought work down, and if coaching, that's what we do. We help our clients understand their thoughts to get the results they want in their life. That's what we do. So come see us about getting in coaching. New Year is a great time to do this, right? Set your goals. We'll work with you on 2-3 goals. I only like to do one, maybe 2 at the same time, maybe. Because that's another thing. People want to, have all these things they want to do. No, you can't. You're not superhuman. We're just human.
Well, I think what happens is you have maybe 1 or 2 big goals, and then there's these little goals that are going to add up to the big goals.
Absolutely.
So,
that's true.
when you're talking about life is 50-50, I think one thing that is important to say is that it's all about acceptance. It's all about the power of accepting that life is 50-50. You're not going to always have roses and butterflies and everything. That some things that you're going to go through, you have to accept.
Well, right. Well, you have to accept the circumstance. The circumstance in our model is the fact.
Right.
So, for example, let's say you're in the middle of negotiating a settlement and you want more of whatever it is, but your lawyer is telling you that this is the best you're going to get, or let's not risk it because going to court is expensive. There's no guarantees, all the things. This is a really good time for you to look at the things that you can control and the things that you should accept. Doesn't mean you like them. But divorce is a lot about accepting things that you would not naturally like, right? It is. There's a lot of accepting of things you don't want. You don't want to have less time with your kids. You don't want to have to move your house. You don't want to have to be single again. You don't want to be struggling with money. All the things. There's a lot of things we have to accept. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think that as a general humanity, we do a pretty good job, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But there's also that acceptance of the things you can't change so that you can just move on with your life. And I struggle so much with clients who just can't get out of their own way, respectfully. Right. They just cannot accept that this is the best result, let's say finance-wise, that they're going to get.
I think it's important that they know that acceptance isn't being passive or anything. It's definitely... once you've accepted it and you've moved on, it's actually empowering.
But what I want to suggest also, because this is about a divorce podcast, is that if you accept what is a matter of law, you are only going to get X dollars. You can only get this much. The house must be sold. Things that are law-based, factored realities in your case. Accepting that doesn't mean you like it. It's just what the law mandates, right? The law is there to govern humanity. It is there to govern divorces, what you're entitled to as a matter of law. Doesn't mean that it sounds good. It doesn't mean that, a group of people wouldn't say, that's ridiculous. He should be paying you more. We know all that, but this is what the law says. And whatever the law says, as long as you have a competent lawyer, who tells you that, accept it, because you're just spending a lot of time and money.
Well, and that's what I meant by when you do accept it, it frees up your mind to focus on solutions and get your mind off of the problem.
Yes.
Or what seems to be the problem. So it's very empowering that your mind works in that way, that as soon as you accept something, now you're kind of being more focused on, this is my solution to that.
Yeah, I think we should do a whole podcast episode on the power of acceptance. I seriously do. Maybe we could do that next time.
Let's do that.
Because I just think, I know that we wanted to talk about it today as we talk to our listeners and we see them on YouTube about this, and power of acceptance being such an important part of it, of allocating your time and what to give an F about and all that. I think it deserves its own episode, right? But I also think it's important that There's another thing about reflecting on the things and that maybe you resisted about your divorce, that are kind of bringing you down. Things like, we had a shared dreams and all the hopes and the dreams and all that. Reflecting on that is great, but then it's time to move on.
Yeah, then maybe ask yourself, what's the one thing that I can do today to embrace the reality of it?
Right.
And then you could, kind of take it from there.
Yep.
Kind of snowballs into finding more action-based items that are going to take you to where you want to go.
Do you want to talk about boundaries, or you want to save that for another episode? Because we were going to touch a little bit on boundaries as well here in my notes.
Well, I think that
I think it was important and key. One of the key parts of not giving enough is about setting boundaries.
Absolutely.
Do you want to just touch on it?
Well, we've talked about boundaries before, episode 8 and episode 9.
Okay, right.
79 is a bit,
right.
and 119,
okay.
119.
So we do that a lot.
We do it a lot because boundaries are a foundation of taking care of yourself.
Healthy relationships, for sure, starting with number 1, which is you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You got to take care of yourself. And that is the main benefit of a boundary.
Yes.
And the key part of not giving an F is setting boundaries.
You have to set some boundaries. Yeah, because if not, people will think that you are there and willing to give an F about whatever it is. And again, it's not about being indifferent. It's just about sometimes it's healthy to just say no, because the best person that gets the result of that, even though it might be nice to do something else or to give up your time and effort, is you've got to take care of yourself and live from a place of truth.
Well, not most people, a lot of people want to be everything to everybody. Take, yes to the kids and yes to your friends and
yes to the ex,
even X to the X.
When you have boundaries with co-parenting, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of them again, or I'll bring that over to you, or it's just a lot of things. So listen. You can tell I'm very enthused about this subject. Right?
But if you're not quite sure what a boundary is or how to set a boundary, please give us a call. Look us up on our website. I'll be glad to, spend a good half hour on the phone with you.
That would be a great exercise for anybody to take you up on, because think of something that you have always wanted not to happen in your life, or that rubs you the wrong way. That's something you probably need a boundary on.
Right.
Think about that. It just makes you just know, like, I'm doing this, but I really don't want to do this.
Yes. Well,
for me, it used to be making those homemade snacks for the bake sale. No, I'm just kidding. But all the moms out there are going, oh boy, I understand. And I understand it's gotten worse in the years, because now everything has to be, we eat very clean, and I'm not trying to say that this isn't the best thing to do or not, but everything has to be the ingredients, like organic this and that and all this stuff.
Right.
I remember, they'd ask you, hey, could you make some? The kids went to a very, very small private school. It's like, hey, we're going to have a bake sale. Could you make something? And could I have it by tomorrow? And I'm thinking, I got to work all day, and then I'll get home around 7. I got to feed the kids. I got to.
Well, then you need to practice your nose.
Yeah, but I did. But I always liked making them.
But yeah, make a list of things that you wish you had said no to.
Right.
And call me up or look me up on the website, and I'll tell you how to set a boundary for those no's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So recapping would be recap. Learning how to focus on what really matters.
Right.
Okay. Accepting the things that you can't change.
Right.
And take control of the things that you can.
True.
Yes. And then set boundaries to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it.
All right.
Well, thank you very much,
and
everybody.
Don't forget to do their list.
The list.
The 2 columns.
Yes.
I like that list, because I think that a lot of times it'll be interesting to see how many, which list has most of the items on it.
Yes. It'll probably be things that you we're focusing on in probably a negative way. Because if most of our listeners are going through a divorce, thinking about divorce, after divorce, different stages of where you're at.
Right.
And, it's easy because of our primitive brain to go to the negative.
So what were they supposed to list again? Can you just recap that?
Want me to recap that for you?
Yeah, because I think it's important. That was really a good exercise.
Okay, I can do that.
That I thought, you had two different lists.
Okay, grab a paper and write down in 2 columns.
Right.
Okay, stuff I care about too much.
Too much. Well, what does that mean? Can you just define
It means that it probably engulfs too much of your day.
Too much of your time.
Too much of your energy. Too much of your focus, too much of your emotions,
right?
And then stuff that actually matters, stuff that really matters. And you'll find that on one side, you'll have an item, and you don't even know if you could put it on the does it matter side, because it really may not matter.
I'm sorry. The dog was crying and I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
The second list was what?
On stuff that actually matters to you. Okay. It really, really matters to you. And keep in mind, again, with your core values, should it matter to you? Maybe you should ask yourself that. Should it matter to you?
So the one side of the list is things you give an F about. That
way too much.
Way too much that probably aren't good things.
Well, maybe.
Maybe
you care way too much about the health of your children.
Right.
Okay, so some things may be good on that list.
Okay. And the other list again?
Things that actually do matter.
Do matter. Things that you put time into that do matter.
That do matter to you.
Okay. That you give an F about.
Yeah. And maybe you'll free up a lot of your time.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we look forward to talking to you next week. And in the meantime, have an amazing week.
Yes. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for more empowering content, tips, and inspiration to help you thrive after divorce. And if you're ready to take the next step in your journey, don't miss out on our free 30-minute coaching session. It's a great opportunity to get personalized guidance and support for wherever you are in your divorce journey. Just visit the link in our description to book your appointment.